I think in the last class we discussed about the conditional statements. So today we'll discuss about functions in JavaScript. JavaScript provides different types of functions. Let us see what is a function and what are the different types of functions that are available. Okay. JavaScript. My voice is clear for everyone? Voice is clear? Voice is clear, everyone? Please respond. Okay. So let us see what is a function. Function is a subprogram which is used to perform a specific operation. Function is a subprogram which is used to perform a specific operation. A specific operation. Function will get executed when we call it. The main purpose of function is used to write some logic. Different types of logics we can write. One is validation logic, mostly. Validation logic, some business logic. Logic is nothing but a small piece of code that was written to solve a particular problem. Okay. What is logic means? Simply you can tell. Logic is a small piece of code. Logic is a small piece of code which was written to solve a particular problem. Logic is a small piece of code that was written to solve a particular problem. Okay, now steps to work with functions. Step number 1, create a function. Or you can simply declare the function. And step number 2, call the function. Declare the function. Step number 2 is what? Call the function. So function, what will happen when we call the function? So simply you can tell when we call the function, then the logic that was written inside the function will get executed. The logic that was written inside the function will get executed. Function is a subprogram which is used to perform a specific operation. So JavaScript supports different types of function. JavaScript supports different types of functions. Like first one is named functions. Second one is anonymous functions. Third one is arrow functions. There are 3 types of functions that are available. Arrow functions are also called as lambda functions. Okay. So it will support 3 types of functions. Named functions, anonymous functions, and what? Lambda functions. So here if you observe clearly, that's what I'm telling. What is the syntax to declare the function means this one. Function name, bracket open, bracket close. Syntax to declare the function. Is it clear? Named function means declare the function with some name. Named functions means declaring the function with some name, called as named functions. So here syntax to declare the function is function name, bracket open, bracket close. In between you have to write some logic. Syntax to call the function is function name of. If you want, I will show you one example for this named function. Here you can see. We already covered the JavaScript basic functions. Today our target is to learn about anonymous functions and arrow functions. So here you can see it is always recommended to write the JavaScript code inside script tag and calling out the function inside body tag. But anyway, here you see this example. I have declared one function within the body only. Script type is equal to text slash JavaScript function name document.write of IAM function, and this function will get executed when we call the function. Yeah, just if you declare the function will not execute. When we call the function, then the function will get what? Executed. Function will get executed when we call it. Is it clear? Is it clear? So let us see here. Function with parameters. Function will have parameters. At the time of declaring of the function, if we declare the parameters, and at the time of calling the function, we have to pass the values. The number of values, the order of values, the type of values that we pass must match with number of order of type of parameters. Here you see I declared one function name. This function will take two parameters. Means this function generally will take input and function will give what? Output. It will take input. By using that input, we have to write some logic and then that function will give some output. Is it clear? Here you see function name, it will take two parameters x comma y, and here if the function will return the value. Is it clear? Sometimes the function will try to directly write the logic to print the outputs and everything. Sometimes function will return some value. Function will use the input and it will return some value. So here function name, and here return x plus y. Return keyword is required if the function want to return any value. If the function will return the value, at the time of calling the function, we have to store the result of the function in one variable. Did you understand? Otherwise, function will not execute. If you want, I will take one small example, you see. Is it clear? Function will return some value. Here I'll try to open one HTML tag and close the HTML. And within this HTML, I'll try to open one header tag and I'll try to close the header tag. And within this header tag, here I will try to write one body tag and I'll try to close the body tag. Yes or no? Can you hear me, everyone? Voice is clear now? Body tag. And within the header tag, it is always recommended to declare the function header tag. Within the header tag, I'll try to write one script. Script type is equal to text / JavaScript. Is it clear? And here I'll try to close the script tag. Close the script. And here within the script, I'll try to declare one function. Function get sum. I will try to write. And this function will take two inputs x comma y. And this function will return some output. Return x plus y. So function will return some value. It will take input and it will return some output. So here I declared the function. Now I'll try to call the function. Calling of the function code I will write inside the body tag. So here you can close the script tag. Here I'll try to call the function get sum of 6 comma 5. What is the output of this function? This program, anyone can tell? What is the output of this program? It is always recommended to declare the function head part and the calling of the function body part. Is it clear? Declaration of function is in header tag, calling of the function is in body tag. What is the output? 11. Actually, there is no output for this program. When you save this program, you will not get any output. Is it clear? See, I will try to save. Go to desktop. Okay, here I'll try to have one folder with name HTML. HTML, here you can see. And I'll try to save the program as some f1.html. Here you can go to your desktop. There you can see HTML folder is there. There you can see F1. Open this one. So you will not get any output because that function will have return. Return is there. Is it clear? If the function will return any value, not this program, I think F1. This is our problem. Function will return any value. Then at the time of calling the function, the result of the function must store in some variable. So I'll try to store the result in one variable where sum is equal to. And here I'll try to print the output. Document.write of I want to print the sum. So here what is the happening? So program execution start from body tag. First it will call this function. So 6. Y is how much? 5. 6 plus 5 is 11 of the function is stored. So I'll try to print. We'll have return type. If the function will return any value, then we have to store that value in one variable. Now let us save the program, and once you will get the output 11. Previously, you didn't get output because we are not storing the result in any variable. If you want to, you have to, all of you stop your videos, please. When you call the function, that function will get executed. The logic that was inside the function will get what executed. And the result of the function is stored in one variable. And I'm trying to print that value. Two steps are there: declaration of function and invocation of function. When you call the function, then only the logic in the function will get what executed. Yes or no? So here you can see. So if the function will return the value, at the time of calling the function, we have to store the result of the function in variable. That's what I told you. So advantage of function is reusability. Reusability means instead of repeatedly writing the same logic again and again, if you keep the logic inside the function, whenever it is required, you can simply call the function, and then the logic that was written inside the function will get executed. Instead of repeatedly writing same code, we can reuse the code. Now we'll discuss about one more topic, that is what is local variable. Local variable means the variable that was declared inside the function is called as a local variable. The variable that was declared inside the function is called as a local variable. See here, I declared one function f1. Within this function, I declared one variable. That variable is called as a local variable. The variable that was declared inside the function is called as local variable. If we declare the variable inside the function and the variable cannot be accessed outside the function, local variable scope is within the function. See here, this program and this program. Here in this function, I declare the variable. In this function, I print the value. So you'll get the output, it is valid. But here in this example, if you observe, I declare the variable inside the function. I am accessing the value outside the function. Here you will get error. Because local variable scope is within the function. We cannot access outside the function. Are you following? So that is about local variable. I hope you understood. Next one, what is global variable? The variable that was declared outside the function is called as global variable. The variable that was declared outside the function is called as global variable. The scope of global variable is multiple functions. Means you can access the global variable anywhere within your program. So here if you observe clearly, here I declared one variable where x is equal to 5. Where I declare the variable outside the function, I declare the variable. That is global variable. Where y is equal to 4. So here if you observe clearly, I am using this x and y inside a function and inside sub function. So these two are global variables. Global variables can be accessible anywhere in multiple functions. Declaration is same, but depending on the place where you declare. Inside the function, if you declare the variable, that is local variable. Outside the function, if you declare the variable, that is global variable. What is the difference? Scope difference is there. Are you following, everyone? Yes or no? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Now, first of all, here I will ask one question. What is variable declaration? Variable declaration, variable initialization, variable assignment. Don't confuse. These three are very powerful statements. Many people will confuse. Variable declaration means declaring the variable without assigning the value. That is called variable declaration, where x is semicolon. This is variable declaration. Variable initialization. Assigning is called as variable initialization. The first value that we assigned in the variable is called as variable initialization. Variable assignment. Assigning the value to the variable. Assigning the value to the variable after declaration is called as variable assignment. Assigning the value to the variable after declaration is called as variable assignment. Is it clear? Assigning the value to the variable after declaration is called as variable assignment. Are you following, everyone? That is how you can work with these functions. So here you see I declared some points. Points, remember. We can declare the global variable outside the function and we can initialize the value inside the function. Example you see. Here I declare the variable where x and what? Where y. This is called as declaration. And assignment. Assigning the value to the variables after declaration is called as assignment. Okay, na? Assigning the value to the variable after declaration is called as assignment. So here let us see. Functions are of three types basically. One is named function, other one is anonymous function, another one is arrow functions. Named function, anonymous function, and arrow functions. Named function means what? During the function, declaring the function with some name is called as named function. Here you see one by one. First one we are discussing about named functions. So functions are basically divided into three types. One is named function, second one is anonymous function, third one is arrow functions. Very, very powerful functions, arrow functions and anonymous functions. What scenarios we will declare the named function means, and depending on the user interaction, if you want to invoke the function. For example, I have one requirement: enter first name and enter last name, and here I have one button display. Enter first name on text box, enter last name on text box. This is display button. This is your design. Here I'll declare one function. Function. The name I will give as get full name. Get to full name. Yes or no? I'll declare some function. And in this function, I'll write some logic. Okay. Something like what type of logic? Get the values from text boxes. And then add them and display the output in the browser. For that, we have to write some logic here. This is logic what we write inside the function. And this function will execute when user clicks on this button. So generally in HTML, you have on-click event is there. On-click is equal to, here I'll try to give the function name, get full name. So in this scenario, we have to give the function name. Depending on the user interaction, the function must get executed. Okay, now whenever user clicks on the button, then it has to invoke one event. On-click event will fetch. That event will call the function. Is it clear? Named function. Declare the function with some name is called as a named function. Next one is anonymous function. Very, very powerful this one. Anonymous function means anonymous functions are also called as nameless functions. And declaring the function without any name is called as anonymous function. Here you see function, no need to give any name for this function. Just write some logic. And this function will get executed now. And the result of the function will store in one variable. So anonymous function result you have to store in one variable. Function without any name is called as anonymous function. Mostly we will use these anonymous functions while working with jQuery. Whenever you work with jQuery, there we'll try to declare mostly anonymous functions only. Means function will execute the logic. Whatever the logic you write inside the function will execute, and the result of that function will store in one variable. And it is something like function with return. Just if you write this function, no output. What is the meaning? The result of this function is stored in one variable. So here you can call the function x of. Okay, then the function logic will get executed. Example to create the function with parameters. Is it clear? Here you see function. I declared two parameters x and y. And here I'm trying to write some logic. And here I'm assigning this function to the variable. First of all, you must know what is a variable. Variable is the name given for a particular memory location. Purpose of the variable is to store the value. We can assign a value or expression. See, this is a very important point. We can assign a value to the variable or expression to the variable or a function call to the variable or anonymous function to the variable. See here example where x is equal to 10. What is the meaning of this? Assigning the value 10 to the variable x, and we are storing this value 10 in x. This is second example where y is equal to 5 minus 3 plus 2 into 3. This is called as an expression. Assigning the expression to the variable. Expression is combination of two or more operators. and you see the third one. Is it clear? This is what variable, where sum is equal to variable. Assigning the function call to the variable. We are calling the function. That result of the function will store in this particular variable. In what scenario we have to assign the variable? If the function is having return. If the function will return any value, then the result of the function must store in one variable. If you have any doubts, you can ask. You can unmute yourself and you can ask. I have given permission to unmute. Anyone have any doubts, you can ask. The main purpose of variable is to store the value. Why to store the value? To perform operation. If you want to write any logics or any operations, we have to first store the value. Why to store the value? To write some logic. That logic where to write? Inside the function. While assigning the values, no need to declare the variable. Yes, variable declaration will be done only for one time. How many times you want, you can modify the variable value and you can write the logic and you can print the value. This is variable declaration. Okay, na? Variable assignment. Okay, and you are calling the function. Any doubts you have? You can unmute and you can ask. Clarify your doubts. You can speak with me. I can hear. Anyone have any doubts you want to speak with me? You can ask. Clarify your doubts.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Yes. Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt that if we are initializing the values in one local variable. Hello?
Yeah. Speak.
If we are assigning values in one local variable and if we want to access those values in another function, can we do it, sir?
No. The scope of local variable is within the function. Once if you declare the variable in declaration assigning, what is your question?
Sir,
If you declare
suppose I have declared values in one function and I want to access those values in another function. Is it possible to access it?
No, not possible. Declaration of variable itself is a local variable inside the function. That scope is only within that function. You cannot access outside the function. Any more questions, anyone?
So once explain anonymous function return type, sir. How to declare return type and
anonymous function. See, this is anonymous function. Means here the meaning is here you're
in place of document.write, how if we write return, how to return type?
Actually, document.write in this scenario, it will not return any value. It will directly print this output. Okay. But in the same, if you write like this, where sum is equal to, if I declare one function of x comma y, and here bracket open, and here I will try to write something like return x plus what? Y. Okay, now this function will return some value. So if I want to print the value, I can directly print. Here outside I will print document.write of, I will try to print sum of 6 comma 5, 6 comma 3, something like that. Bracket close. Did you understood? Means,
okay.
Means here you are calling this function will execute and the result of the function is assigned to this variable and this output will print here. Something like that. So here you come here, another example I will try to show you. Here I declared, mostly next week like that we'll plan to start Angular also. Angular is a very high-end framework. JavaScript is very beautiful, we already know, because JavaScript code will execute on where? Browser. JavaScript code will execute on browser. Whenever we develop any web application, after developing the application, you have to keep that application on the common place where everyone can access, that is server. So multiple users can access that application via browser and internet. So the beautiness of, in olden days, what happened, total application code executing on server. So unnecessarily burden on server. So nowadays what happened, code will execute on browser. That is possible only with JavaScript. But JavaScript is very complicated, unit testing, debugging, and intelligence support, lengthy code, lot of problems are there. That is why today's world is frameworks world. Framework will simplify your language. Frameworks are softwares that was developed by following some languages and design patterns and all the other stuff. So nowadays Angular is very powerful. Okay, now, as you already have the knowledge on JavaScript and HTML, you all are eligible to learn Angular. Next week mostly we'll plan to start Angular. Okay, I will only teach Angular also with TypeScript. Yeah. Angular with Web API that will cover in .NET class. Only Angular with mean stack I will cover here. Angular with mean stack, MongoDB, Express.js, Angular, and Node.js. And it means full stack developer. Okay. We can assign anonymous function to a variable. Here you see function of x comma y. And you can use console.log or document.write. The same example what I showed you previously. Is it clear? Here also no output. See, if you directly write sum of 6 comma 3, you will not get output because you're calling the function. The value is not stored anywhere. So again, you have to store the result in one more variable. See this example. This is anonymous function without having any name. And here we are calling the function. The result of the function stored in one variable. Yes. Now print the value. Yes. You'll get the output 9. If you don't want to store the result in any variable, you can call like this document.write of sum of 6 comma 3. 3 different ways. First approach, second approach, third approach. In the first approach, no output. Second approach, the function will call. Result is stored in one variable, but no output because we are not printing this value. The value of 9 is stored in yes. In the third statement, it will print the output. So what is the difference between document.write and console.log? Actually, JavaScript code will execute on browser. JavaScript code cannot execute on any separate runtime environment. If you take Java, you have JRE, Java runtime environment is there. What is the advantage of this runtime environment means? This runtime environment is responsible to what? Execute the logic on any environment. JavaScript code will execute only on browser, but JavaScript after Node.js is a runtime environment for JavaScript. And Node.js provides the flexibility to run the JavaScript code on any other environment. That is why you can even run the JavaScript program on command prompt also. If you want to print the output in command prompt, you have console.log. Okay. So here you see. Document.write is used to display the output on the browser. Console.log is used to display the output on the console. Console means command prompt. Next important function is arrow functions. When the scenario use return means, for example, if you try to, your JavaScript code will communicate with backend application. This is your front-end application. This is your backend application. This is your database. Okay. Generally, your front-end application will communicate with what? Backend application. Backend application will communicate with what? Database. So here I have something like this design. Enter employee number. And here I'll try to display employee salary. Based on employee number, I want to display the salary. Okay. So actually employee salary is stored in the database. In database, we have some data. Here you have one table with name, employee with columns, employee number, employee name, as well as salary. Here 101, here Anil, here what 20,000 is there. Now, generally, that communicating with the database, that code will write either by using Java or .NET or Python, server-side technology. Here, here also you write one method, and this method will return what? Salary. And this salary is given to front-end application. Here, JavaScript function will be there. And generally, your function will communicate with backend application. In that scenario, we'll try to use return. Return means sending some result to the browser. If you want to display any result in the browser, then we'll use what? Return keyword. Okay, in that scenarios, we'll use what? Return. Returning means getting something. If you want to display or getting something to the browser, if you want to give, you can use return. Mostly Did you understand? If you want to display the output in any of the other HTML elements like H1 tags or span tags or any other elements, then we'll use return. Directly display the output in the browser, use what? Document.write. Display the directly output in the browser, use document.write. If you want to display the output in any of the HTML elements like tables, list, etc., then we'll use what? Return mostly. The function. Okay, now. So arrow function is the shorthand syntax of anonymous function. To simplify the anonymous function, what came? Arrow function came. Simple logic. Input parameters is equal to greater than logic. This arrow function is also called as anonymous function. Okay. Lambda expression. Generally, we'll declare the function like this. Function add of x comma y. Bracket open. Here you can write something like return. Simplified function x plus y, something like this. So yeah, simplified this code. It is telling don't write the function, don't write add, don't write bracket. Bracket optional. If you want also you can write. So here you can see just input parameters x comma y is equal to greater than return x plus y. Simplified the syntax. Single line expressions. And one more point, actually function will take input as what? Variable. Function will not take input as an expression. So if you want to send an expression as input for the function, then also we will use arrow functions. If you want to send an expression as an input for the function, then also we'll use what? Arrow functions. So here you see this is your single line expression. Lambda operator. This is equal to greater than is called as lambda operator. Input is equal to greater than logic. So arrow functions are of two types, single line functions and multi-line functions. ES6 is the advanced JavaScript. Mostly when you work with Express.js, React.js, there will use ES6. Angular will use TypeScript. React.js will use ES6. Because JavaScript does not support whoops like inheritance, polymorphism. These principles it will not support. So depending on the modern technologies, modern framework support, a new advanced JavaScript was released, that is ES6. Okay, now it is also simplified. So here you see this is single line function. How you will declare a function? Normal function, anonymous function. If you want to write in a single line, you will write like this, where x is equal to input parameters is equal to greater than console.log of welcome to Satya. Multi-line function. Here you see. If you want to write more than one lines, you have to use this bracket, where x is equal to input is equal to greater than some body, some logic you can write. Console.log of welcome Satya Amirpet. If you want, you can see this example. Here I declare one arrow function. Document.write of welcome to arrow function. Is it clear? No input. So at the time of calling the function, no need to give any input. Okay, now output is welcome to arrow function. Another example you see, where sum of a comma b. So input for this, generally how you will write the normal function, if you write, you will write like this. Function get sum of a comma b, and here you will write something like return, otherwise document.write of some a plus b, something like this you will write. So but instead of this, what you are doing, you are removing this function, removing this get sum, just you are giving input parameters. Here only one line is there, no, so no need of brackets, just replace with is equal to greater than. So how you can write? Input is equal to greater than document.write of x plus y, some logic you will write. Single line. Reduce the size of the function, will use arrow function. Yes or no? And when you call the function will get executed. Same like normal. Here you see where product is equal to two inputs it will take and it will give the product. So like this you can solve the problems. Here also you can see. Here I think multi-line statements now I will use is equal to greater than lambda operator. Lambda operator is also called as goes to operator. It will pass the parameters to your logic. Like this you can work with these functions. Okay, all of you try to practice this functions, very, very important. For more videos, try to subscribe to this channel, switchatech.com. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.